Gav goes in. Big up to everyone coming through. Guys, hope you guys are having a good weekend so far. 11 o'clock. And as I said, there's some news I want to get into, something that I see last night breaking. And you know what it is? I wanted to have my say on this because, I think, like you guys that have been watching my channel for any amount of time will know that, in particular, player called Jude Bellingham. You know that I'm not a massive fan of Jude Bellingham, but for me, I'd always give my honest opinion, whether people agree with it or not. This is what I believe football talk should be about, and not just football talk. I think just general talk, whether it's about, it could be about politics, it could be about football, it could be about anything, life, struggles, whatever. So, you guys know that I'll always give my honest opinion, regardless if you agree with it or not. And again, I'll never suppress anyone's opinion, opinion is your own. But I do like to have dialogue. And again, if some of you don't agree with what I'm saying, that's good as well. Let's get into the conversation. But yeah, listen, as I said, there was some news that I see yesterday in regards to Jude Bellingham open up about his Macho mental struggles. Now, first and foremost for me, I think in terms of mental health, I'm someone that's dealt with mental health before, and I choose to look at mental health now as a mindset. I think there are men, obviously women as well, that do go through mental health struggles. It could be a variety of things, and as I said, I'm someone that has suffered with, I wouldn't say massively, but I am someone that has suffered with a bit of mental health. But as I said, I look at things now and I think the fact that I was suffering, I think, was due to a mindset. And I do think that is important, to have a strong mindset. So when we're going to get into Jude Bellingham, for me, as I said, in the title, you guys can see, is it more of a PR stunt? Because I do think it's a PR stunt, if I'm honest. And again, we will definitely get into that. So guys, keep your questions and comments coming through, and I will get back to you. So as I said, I think in terms of the mental health side of it, there are people out there that do suffer with mental health. And obviously, those people that are suffering with mental health, seek the help you can get. And but I would say, once your mind is right, I think these things don't become an issue. And as I said, anyone that is struggling with mental health, best thing you can do to cure your mental health, for me, really, is get yourself down the gym. Improve your well-being. Improve your confidence as well. Make sure you're eating properly. All these things play a factor. Go for a walk. Get some nature into your life. So I think all these things play a factor into positive mental health. And as I said, I'm someone that does these things. I go for a lot of walks. I go to the gym religiously. I eat healthy as well. So as I said, I do think a lot of these things play its part. So as I said, anyone that is struggling, take these things on board and make sure your mind is right. That's what I would say. So yeah, that's how I choose to look at it. Barbara Joseph says, "Hey Gav, do you think Bellingham is one of the most protected football players in England?" Again, we're gonna get into this, but 100% he is, and this is why I'm saying, is this nothing more than a PR stunt? I'm not saying that Bellingham doesn't deal with mental health, even though, it is funny that the Macho comments, have come to surface, because again, any of you guys that have been watching my channel, I've literally been talking about Jude Bellingham and his whole persona. And obviously he's kind of now agreeing that this persona is forced again, so it's really fake, and yeah, I just don't agree with that personally, But again, I've written some notes down on some of the comments that he's gone through. So yeah, I'm going to go through a few of them. So again, if you guys got any comments to make, or even if you disagree with what I'm saying, then yeah, as long as it's respectful, put that in the chat. And yeah, we'll see what you've got to say, really, But yeah, going back to, is Jude Bellingham one of the most protected players in England? For me, he is. Definitely, he is one of the most protected. And we're going to go through as well why I think he's the most protected. So, yeah. Big up to Lumi Rain as well. Big up for coming through. Says, will Bellingham go down as a great? Not for me. Nowhere near it. Big up to Chrism Mark. Big up, Chrism. Big up to Daniela with the super chat. Says, how comes all of a sudden this news has come out? Well, Daniela, great question because, as I said, you know, I'm going to get into it right now and we're going to go through some of the comments that Bellingham has come out with. And, yeah, we're going to have some dialogue on that. So, for me, yeah, as I said, is Jude Bellingham struggling with the Macho mental health that he come out with, the quotes that he come out with? Do I believe this? I'll be honest with you, yeah. I don't particularly believe it too much, you know. And I think the fact that it's the international break and he hasn't been called up, it's a bit of a coincidence now, you know, that all this news is coming about, you know, and this is what I'm trying to say to you. So, Jude Bellingham, for me, as I said, he's someone that a lot of fans, you know, do like. I think if you look at the image of Jude Bellingham, you know, he's a light-skinned guy with a sharp hairline. You know, he's a passion merchant as well. And he's someone that is a media darling, whether people like it or not. And as I said, I'm someone that sees through all this, the bravado in what he does, you know, in terms of, you know, this is something that I touched on years ago, you know. Well, I say years ago, I say Euro 2024, yeah? This is something that I touched on even before that, yeah? If you look at Jude Bellingham, yeah? And this is where the Macho thing comes into it. When Jude Bellingham played for England against Serbia, if anyone remembers, the first game of the season, the first game of the tournament, yeah, was it Euro 2024? Yeah, Euro 2024. If you watch the game against Serbia, when you could see all the England fans were standing at the back, and then there was a throw on that was going to happen. I think the player was Filip Kostic for Serbia. So what Kostic did, he went to go and get the ball for his throw on, and then Jude Bellingham walks over and for no reason just barges him. And again, you see all the England fans just getting excited, saying, you know, obviously just cheering on Bellingham for what he's doing because he's just gone and barged the player. And again, these things feed into a lot of fans that are just passion merchant fans. So again, these things all feed into as well the macho bravado that Jude Bellingham tries to display. So that was one thing, yeah, that I noticed, that there was no need for him to do that. But again, that's all part of the PR in what Bellingham portrays to the media and what he portrays to England fans as well. Then you see whenever Jude Bellingham misses a chance, he starts kicking the post, punching the ground. You know, very much like Bruno Fernandes. These guys are passion merchants, and what they do is that they feed into a lot of the fans, a lot of these fans' hearts. You know what I mean? Because again, when you're playing for your country, obviously I do understand there is passion, but again, Jude Bellingham is someone, yeah, that he definitely does feed into that. So the fact that we're hearing now that all these things are all macho and, you know, everything else is funny, because I did think to myself that, yeah, these things are a bit suspect in what he's doing. You know, he's doing too much. But again, him going to Real Madrid, obviously before that Borussia Dortmund from Birmingham. Again, he's built up his whole persona of this kind of tough passion merchant kind of player. But the problem is his ability doesn't match his hype. You know what I mean? So again, a lot of these things I've been aware of for time, and for me, it's one of them things where when I go through the comments in a bit, do I believe it's a case of him just being clever because he knows he's now come under scrutiny because he's not in the England squad? And I think it's a good move by I do think it's a good move by Thomas Tuchel to not include him in the squad, because it now lets Bellingham know that he's not irreplaceable. You know, I did say this the other day, and I do think definitely that he is now someone that has to work for his place in the squad. And all of a sudden, you know, these comments do come out that Bellingham is suffering from, you know, mental health, etc. And again, some of the comments we'll go through. Do I believe it that he's suffering from that? I'm not too convinced, as I said. I just think it's great timing and it's great PR. And again, Jude Bellingham, in terms of England players, probably has the best PR out of any England player there is. You know, so I do think this is nothing short of a PR stunt to try and, you know, get a lot of fans that do love Jude Bellingham, you know, on side. You know, so a lot of fans will start saying now that they feel sorry for him, you know, that they are with him, etc. You know, me personally, I don't buy the nonsense, because, as I said, it's just funny that he's not in the England squad, and this now comes out. Would this have come out if Bellingham wasn't included in the England? If Bellingham was in the England squad, I very much doubt it. You know, and it's a case where now he's now, well, it seems like he's trying to get people on side. Again, I know it's World Mental Health Day. You know, when he did come out with those comments, but the problem is that it just seems too coincidental that, you know, he's not in the England squad, and now he's coming out with that he's suffering from this whole Macho mental health struggles. You know, and as I said, man, I think it's one of them things for me that, yeah, it's just it's just coincidental, you know. Big up Barbara Joseph for the super sticker. Says, do you think Bellingham is one of the most protected football players in England? Again, yeah, just answered that, and I definitely do think he is. You know, I think anyone that disagrees, let me know, because as I said, man, I think there's no denying that Jude Bellingham, you know, has got, you know, the backing of the media, the backing of the majority of the English fan base as well. And he's someone that can do no wrong, you know what I mean? And, yeah, it's one of them things for me that he is definitely loved by this fan base, you know? It is. Big up to DXR, big up for coming through. Guys, let me know before we go through some of the comments that I've put down in terms of what Bellingham's said in regards to the mental health struggles. And as I said, anyone that does deal with mental health, you know, there is ways around it. I think first and foremost is having a strong mind. You know, I think a lot of it is a mindset. You know, if you've got a strong mind, you're keeping yourself nice and fit, keeping yourself healthy, you know, and you've got a focus, then I think they are key things for me that will help to combat mental health struggles for me. You know, so yeah, it's one of them things really that I do think if you are struggling as a person with your mental health, you know, it's a good start to kind of look at things like that, you know, your well-being. And once you can combat that, you know, that goes a long way to overcoming things like this, you know. So so yeah. But yeah, we're going to get into some of the notes that I've put down in regards to what I've seen, what Jude Bellingham said, yeah. So he said, there's been times where I felt vulnerable, doubted myself, and needed someone to talk to. And instead, I've tried to keep up this macho image. And again, this is something that I said, yeah, that I noticed from early with Jude Bellingham. You know, it's like Jude Bellingham is someone that's literally come from nowhere. And again, you hear the stories about, you know, he's got a strong backing from his family, etc. You know, obviously his brother is now at Borussia Dortmund now as well. And but he's someone really that's come from nowhere. And he's become like a household name in English football, which for a player that's not really done too much, you know, it is very confusing. But again, if you look at the image of Jude Bellingham, the PR behind him, you know, there's no surprise really why his name really is on everyone's lips, or the majority of people's lips, you know. But as I keep saying, I've seen football. I've seen too much football. You know, I know too much football to know that Jude Bellingham for me isn't someone that I look at as a top footballer. You know, I'm hearing people say he's world class, and again, if he's someone that's world class, then it kind of shows you where football is. You know, it's in a dark place really if he's considered world class, because you know, as I said, I don't rate him as a player, not one bit. I just think he's just decent a decent player that has maximised the PR and the image that is surrounding him. And the fact that he's at Real Madrid, again, it just shows you where football's gone. Because if you think of what, 10 years ago, not even 10 years ago, probably less than that, would Real Madrid have ever signed a Jude Bellingham? You know, Jude Bellingham really has only been signed because of PR. Like, I'd argue with anyone that tells me he's been signed because of his football ability. I think he's purely signed because of his marketability, you know. But again, when he's saying that he needed someone to talk to, and he needed to keep up this macho image, and there's times where he's felt vulnerable and doubted himself. You know how I choose to look at that, yeah? And again, some of you might disagree, but I look at that as, you know, so many times you hear Jude Bellingham has a monster mentality. When I'm hearing stuff like this, I think it's a weak mentality. Because at the end of the day, you're a professional footballer that is on millions of pounds. You know, you're in a position where, let's face it, the majority of people would love to be in that position. When you're thinking of the fame, you're thinking of the money, you're thinking of the fact that you're doing something you love. You know, you're not going to a job where it's a 9 to 5, you know, having to make ends meet. You're in a privileged position, and then you're coming out with, you know, you felt vulnerable and doubted yourself. Again, I don't know why you would doubt yourself, because you're in a position where, as I said, a lot of people would love to be. And this is where I think mindset comes into it. And this is why I mentioned, you know, even with mental health, if you've got a strong mindset, you can overcome these things. And a lot of it is to do with, as I said, keeping yourself fit and healthy, you know, and having a focus, you know. And the fact that he's in that position and he's saying that he felt vulnerable and doubted himself, I don't think it's the monster mentality that a lot of people think he has. I definitely don't think it's that. You know, I would argue that it's a weak mentality, you know. So, and the fact that he's saying that he has to be this macho kind of bravado kind of person is fake in itself, you know, and it's not real. And me personally, I sense that anyway, because a lot of the things he was doing just seemed very over the top. You know, if you look at the fact when England got beat in that Euro 2024 final against Spain, yeah. I mean, when you've got Jude Bellingham, who's probably one of the youngest members of the squad, again, people will say monster mentality, yeah. But I choose to look at it differently and say, when he's going around patting all the players on the back, saying whatever he was saying, you know, next time we'll do it or whatever, that's just him doing too much. But that's him using his image for his PR to just go through the roof. Because when I see that, I thought, if I'm a player and I've got Jude Bellingham trying to pat me on the back or whatever, saying hard luck, and he's younger than me, I ain't gonna take that too seriously. You know, I'm gonna say to him like don't do that kind of thing, because again, you can kind of see through what he's doing. And again, many people probably won't be aware to this, because again, many of you probably are Jude Bellingham fans, or you know, you might be influenced by the media, etc. But I'm someone that I pay a keen interest to things like that. And when I see that, that was nothing short of Jude Bellingham trying to up his PR at the expense of his teammates that just lost the final. You know, so these things there, I don't miss a trick really. So yeah, these things do play into it. So again, going back to when he's saying he's doubted himself, I mean, why would you doubt yourself when you're a professional footballer in a privileged position like that? You know, you should be embracing things like that, because the amount of people that would love to be where Jude Bellingham is, you know, there's probably some of you in the chat that would love to be there. And the fact that he's the fact that he's coming out with that he felt vulnerable and doubted himself and tried to keep up this macho image, yeah, I can see that. I can see that was fake. And the fact that he's gone to Real Madrid as well, yeah, that's even heightened it, because there's been instances where I'm seeing Jude Bellingham trying to have a go at Vinicius Junior. And it's like Vinicius Junior's done more in the game than Jude Bellingham. You know, he's been at Real Madrid longer. He knows what the requirements are. Look, even now, I see Jude Bellingham on my screen talking on Sky Sports about the struggles. And again, I'm going to go back to it, guys. This is nothing short of a PR stunt for me, because it's funny how he's not in the England squad, and he's now his mentality, his you know, he's now being questioned, and then this comes out. You know, it's very coincidental for me. You know, and I'll stick by what I'm saying. So as I said, man, it's very obvious to see for me what is going on. But yeah, just going back to the Vinicius Junior one. So you see Jude Bellingham telling Vinicius Junior certain things during the game, and again, the way he's doing it is very macho, very over the top. And as I'm saying, when you're hearing him come out with this, he's got to maintain this macho image, which again is fake. You kind of see like what it's all about now. And as I said, I've been aware of this for time, and it's is something that the fact that this has come out now, I've been justified in what I'm thinking, you know. So guys, if you're enjoying the content, again, make sure you smash the like button. There's 22 of you in at the moment. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you sub to the channel as well. Just gonna go through some of your comments. Again, guys, I'm only gonna go through some of the comments that I feel stand out. So big up yourselves for coming through. Yeah, big up to DXR, says, I've been through mental health, but I changed things around by making my mind up. I want to get out of this slump. 100%, man, 100%. And that is the best way to kind of overcome things. As I said, I'm someone that has, you know, not been in a good place at times. But for me, it's a mindset. You know, if your mindset's strong, you know, you got confidence in what you're doing, then this is where it starts, you know. So yeah, I think anyone that's going through mental health just needs to just get themselves in the gym, you know, get themselves out, going for walks, going for runs, you know, eating healthy. And then you'll find very quickly that, you know, you'll be getting through dark days, 100%. So yeah, right, moving on, guys. So obviously, second quote that I see. So he says, searches his own name on Twitter to seek out criticism and validation. Now, when I see this, yeah, I had to laugh. I had to laugh, yeah. So he's a professional footballer, as I said, that's on millions of pounds in one of the most privileged positions, you know, and you mean to tell me, yeah, that he searches out Twitter, he searches out Twitter to seek criticism and validation. Now, why I have a massive problem with this, yeah, is because at the end of the day, yeah, obviously my channel is about opinions, you know, footballing conversation. Again, anyone that has a difference of opinion, it is that, yeah. So when you're a professional footballer, you should expect that not everyone is going to agree with what you're saying. Just like my channel, not everyone agrees with what I'm saying, yeah? And as a footballer, you're in the limelight all the time. And whether Benham likes it or not, yeah, people are going to criticize him, people are going to praise him. It's just the nature of the business, really. And when you're in that position, yeah, if you're going to search Twitter to find out who's giving you criticism and you want validation, again, this whole mentality monster that we're hearing that Jude Bellingham has is not true. Because I'll be honest with you, yeah, if I'm in Jude Bellingham's position, I'm expecting, because this goes with the territory, yeah, I'm expecting criticism, because unfortunately, you're getting paid millions of pounds and people are going to criticize you, whether you like it or not. So when you're going on social media to find out if you're going to get criticized, I mean, I find that poor. again, if people criticize me on my channel because they don't like what I'm saying, they don't like me, I don't care. Like, it is what it is. I'm opening myself up to being on camera to get criticized. It is what it is, you know. But no one can deny that what I talk about is just actual facts and it's truth. You know, I don't skate around anything, you know. Whether it's racism, whether it's players, football, whatever. You know what I mean? You will get the honest truth on my platform. So again, there's people that come into the chat and they just don't like what I say, which is fair enough. Kevin McGee being one of them. I'm not sure where Kevin is today, but he's always someone that comes onto the chat and just tries to chat rubbish. But again, you think I'm going to stop what I'm doing? I'm not, because at the end of the day, I'm opening myself up to criticism, and it is what it is. So when Jude Bellingham's going on social media and he wants to scope out who's criticizing him, I mean, for me, that is a weak mentality there again, because I just don't understand why you would need to seek out criticism. You're going to get criticized. Any player in world football, any person in life, yeah, that has a platform or is in the public eye is going to get criticized. It is what it is. You know, put it this way, yeah. If you're not getting criticized, it usually means you're not doing something right. That's how I choose to look at things. And as I said, when he's seeking validation, that is poor, because you should know to yourself as a footballer if you're, you know, if you're playing well, you know, if you're doing the right things. So I found that odd that he wants to seek validation and to seek out the criticism on social media. Because at the end of the day, people are going to have their opinion regardless, you know. I have my opinion on Jude Bellingham because, as I said, I don't necessarily dislike him as a person because I don't know him. But the hype that's around him and the footballers that I've seen, I will never have anyone tell me that he's a top player. Because I've seen too much footballers and I've seen too much football. But again, why would Jude Bellingham listen to my criticism? Because it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand why you would seek that out. And again, it shows you how soft football has gone. Because the fact that we're hearing a player in this day and age coming out in an interview where he's talking about that he would seek validation and criticism on social media, it just shows you how much football has declined. Because why are you even wasting your time going on social media to seek that out? And again, players now will obviously go on social media because it's the era that we're in. But when you're going on social media to go and seek these things out, you have to ask yourself a question. You know, what is that all about? Because you're in a privileged position, as I said, and you are going to get criticized regardless. You know, I keep saying Jude Bellingham, you know, his PR's mad because of his image. You know, he's a light-skinned guy with a sharp hairline. You know, that's an opinion. It's an opinion that I definitely believe, by the way. Yeah. But people might come on there and tell me I don't agree with that. But I'm still going to say what I'm going to say because I believe that. So again, why would he seek validation and criticism on social media to people that are just going to criticize you? You know, it don't make any sense to me. But it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. Big up the chat as well. Number 3 says, felt like a scapegoat following the run to Euro 2024. And again, yeah, going into that tournament, yeah, and guys, you have to realize, yeah, Jude Bellingham, yeah, was always going to be the scapegoat for England in this tournament. You know, I predicted this at the start because if you look at the pattern of what England do, yeah, and this dates back to the likes of Paul Gascoigne, Michael Owen, Alan Shearer, Wayne Rooney, Jack Wilshere, Ross Barkley, Harry Kane. Who else is there? Phil Foden. Now it's Jude Bellingham. Next Euros, who's it going to be? It might be someone else. But the reason I'm coming out with all these players, guys, is because if you look at the pattern of what happens with England, England always try to rest their hopes on one player. So the fact that Jude Bellingham's now at Real Madrid, yeah, obviously Harry Kane's still there, but it was always going to be Jude Bellingham or Harry Kane that they're going to be the saviour in many fans' eyes. Yeah. Now, did I believe England were winning the Euros? I didn't, because I've seen football too much to know that when England play against the best teams, as I continuously say, we know what the result's going to be. So it's up to them to change things. And let's see if they change it under Thomas Tuchel. Yeah. But when they go up against the best nations, they always come up second best when it matters. Yeah. Now, when Jude Bellingham is saying that he was the scapegoat, I mean, again, what different did he expect? Because I could have told him he was going to be the scapegoat. It was very obvious that he was going to be, because the fan base were pinning their hopes on him. And let's be honest with you, yeah, he had a poor Euros, and what saved him in many people's eyes was that overhead kick that he scored, which wasn't even a proper overhead kick, really. Yeah. So again, that's what kind of gave him opportunities to really stay in the team and get fans on his side. But the reality is, he was poor in that tournament. He was. I'd argue with anyone to tell me that he was good, because he wasn't. Now, again, when he's the scapegoat, it's purely because he's at Real Madrid. You're at arguably the biggest club in the world. You've got the image that you have, the PR that you have, and unfortunately, if England don't win the Euros, you're going to get criticised. You are. Because in the same sense, if England would have won the Euros, you would have seen Jude Bellingham's name and his pictures plastered all over the place. So again, this comes with the territory. You're at Real Madrid, you're one of the biggest names in the England squad, rightfully or wrongly. And unfortunately, England lose the Euros, you are going to be used as a scapegoat. But again, that's not something that is surprising, because that's just obvious, So again, when he's saying he felt like the scapegoat, again, when I hear people say mentality monster, it's not true. Because if you're a mentality monster, all these things that I've mentioned, all the notes that I've put down so far, these things should just be, a duck off. These things should just be easy to kind of brush off, in a sense. But the fact that the fact that they think here that he thinks he's surprised that the fact that he thinks that he's a scapegoat and it's a problem, this is this is part of the issue, really, for me. And guys, sorry, I'll just pause a little bit, because I just seen a comment from Eddie Chill. So Eddie says, every other English football fan thinks they know more than the professional, LOL. And again, Eddie, you've come on here, Eddie, with no picture. So whenever I see someone with no picture, I'm just guessing you're going to talk shit. Now, what it is with you, Eddie, yeah? You have no idea of my background in football. You have no idea who I am. So, again, when I'm talking about certain things, yeah, I'm talking about these things from a vantage point that I know. I study football to a level that not every English, not every football fan does. Yeah. So it's not about. You're saying read the message first, but again, if I've got it wrong, then fair enough. Yeah. But for me, like, it's the way I'm reading it is that you're targeting me like every other football fan, which I'm not. Yeah. So again, if I've got it wrong, I take it back. But I'm just reading the message now, and it seems like you're saying that every other football fan thinks they know more than a professional. Again, that's not where I'm coming from. I'm just saying that, it seems very coincidental that Jude Bellingham is struggling with the Macho health, and then, he's not in the England squad. I just think it's very coincidental. But again, if I've taken it out of context, as you said, and it's not aimed at myself, then again, I take that back. So, but yeah, let's move on, guys. So number 4, I've written down. So Mental Health Day suggested he does not read his own social media. So he doesn't read his own social media, but again, he's already said that he goes on social media to seek out validation and criticism. Again, any football player that goes on social media to seek that out, I do find odd, if I'm honest, because you know when you go on social media, there's not everyone is gonna adore you. You know, look at Lionel Messi, for instance. There's not everyone adores Lionel Messi. There's fans out there which I don't really understand because the guy has actually completed football. He's won literally everything there is to win in football, whether it's club, international, individual. Yeah, but there's still fans out there, maybe because they're fans of Ronaldo, that will actually criticize Messi. You know, so again, any footballer that goes on social media is out there. Um, any player that goes on social media is going to get criticized. That's a fact. So I don't know why he would go. I don't really know why he would be thinking any differently. I don't really understand it. So Eddie says, you are just another football fan though, aren't you? You have your badges, question mark, played or coached professionally. I messaged multiple times and you read one and act like a victim. So again, Eddie, like, let's go on to what you said, yeah? So you just said you are just another football fan. Correct. But again, I'm a football fan, but I'm someone that's played, whether it's been professional academies, you know, I've coached football and I've watched football for over 30 years. So again, when you're saying just another football fan, I think what you're doing is that you're trying to group football fans together. Okay, again, I don't look at myself as the average football fan. You know, I don't. Because football's been part of my life for 30 plus years. So again, when you're saying, do I have my badges? I've got a badge, yep. Have I played or coached professionally? I haven't coached professionally, but as I said, I've played for professional academies, you know, and I've seen what goes on in terms of behind closed doors in academies. And again, purely what I'm talking about with Jude Bellingham, okay, it's not about me thinking that I know better than the average football fan in that sense. But what I'm saying is that it's very coincidental that this comes out when he's not being picked for England. That's just what it is. And again, you know, what I'm saying about Jude Bellingham, yeah, is something that I've known for ages. Again, any people that's in the chat now that's been watching my channel for any period of time will know that my take on Jude Bellingham. So so you're now saying, so if you know football, isn't it obvious that why Jude isn't in the team? Where does Jude play in Tuchel's system? So again, the reason why Bellingham's not been called up, yeah, have a look at who's replaced him in the squad. I'll let you think of who's replaced him in the squad. Because what it is with Jude Bellingham, yeah, do I believe Jude Bellingham goes to the Euros? I do. Because his PR, yeah, his PR and the fanfare behind him and the media are not going to allow England to go to a World Cup with Jude Bellingham with the hype around him not being there. So when you're saying does he fit into Tuchel's system, that's not the case. He's gonna be in the squad. I guarantee you. I can bet you right now he's in the squad if he's fit, because as I said, it's more than just him, as you're saying, not fitting into Tuchel's system. It's nothing to do with that. Look at the player that replaced him. Just have a look at the player that replaced him, and then you'll find your answer. So it's not obvious as to why he's not in the team. I'm actually glad that Tuchel didn't pick him, because it's letting Jude Bellingham know. And again, people will tell you that he's just come back from a shoulder injury. I hear it, but what you need to realize is that I think it's good management, because Tuchel's letting him know that his place isn't a guarantee. But when it comes down to it, he will go to the World Cup with England, because, as I said, if you think PR is not a thing in football, then I suggest you obviously think again, because the PR and the hype around this player, yeah, is going to force Tuchel to include him in the squad. I guarantee you. You've heard it here first, man. He's definitely going to the Euros if he's fit. I think anyone that's in the chat now would know that he's going to the Euros. So as I said, man, let me know if you know what players replaced him in the squad, and then that will give you your answer. So it's not about Tuchel banishing him because he's not suiting his system. He's done that for a reason, to give him a kick up the arse, basically. So again, if you don't know what players replaced him, then we're going to move on. So number 5, the hate can be really tough for athletes. Again, as I said, when he's saying the hate can be really tough, I don't condone, people going out there and whether it's racially abusing or, abusing family members, etc. I think fans that do that, I think it really sums up what they're about, really, because when you get fans that are racially abusing or criticizing family members of professional athletes, that for me that sums them up, and it usually means that they're not in a good place, because why you've got the energy for that, I will never know. For me, I'm purely talking about the player. You're never going to get me criticizing anything other than the player. So when he's saying the hate can be really tough for athletes, again, he's in a privileged position, yeah, and you should just expect these things, because unfortunately, we're in a world of social media where a lot of people can't be held accountable. Unfortunately, a lot of people, hide behind pictures, racially abused, and can't be held accountable. So unfortunately, this is what it is. So when you're saying the hate is hard on the athletes, well, it's gonna be. As I said, they're in privileged positions, earning good money, and unfortunately, there's people out there that don't like that, and then they're gonna criticize whether it's racial, family members, or whatever. So these things are a factor, unfortunately. So is what it is. Guys, make sure you're smashing the like button and make sure you're subbing to the channel as well if you've enjoyed the content so far. Eddie says, I'm not English, I am an EPL follower. English media hypes their team and young players too much. Every tournament I hear from English media is that they should win. Yeah, listen, man, I don't disagree with that. This is the problem with English football as a whole, and the media and fans and stuff like that, is that they just think they just automatically go into a tournament and win. I had someone on the channel the other day tell me that England's win percentage is the best out of any European team, which is I think 50-something%. But again, applying context to it will tell you, just look at who those wins have come against. They've come against the lesser nations, because they're not against the likes of France, Spain, Italy, Germany, Argentina, Portugal, Brazil, them kind of nations. So again, this is the thing, man. They always think that they should win, but then when it comes down to it, when they play the best nations, it's always the same result. I would say right now, in terms of collectively, it's probably the best group of players collectively that England have ever had, from what I've seen. Yeah. So I think they've got a good chance to go far in the tournament, but a lot of it's going to depend on who they can avoid in the early stages. And as you can see, the last few tournaments, they have more or less avoided a lot of their top teams, but then when they go and play them, it's always the same result. So is what it is, man. Tuchel made a big statement with it. Club status shouldn't matter. Watching past managers taking players despite lacking form and fitness always baffled me. Yeah, listen, I agree. Any player should be picked on form. It should literally be form alone. You know what I mean? Not because of PR and hype, all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm saying. When I'm seeing Thomas Tuchel not pick Jude Bellingham, it's a positive. It's definitely a positive, because it shows Bellingham now that he's got to work for his place. Because I think before Thomas Tuchel come in under Gareth Southgate, I don't think there's anyone that would say Bellingham doesn't play for England. He's always definitely going to be in the squad and always starting. I think now, with the amount of players that England have, and the amount of players that are coming through, as much as Jude Bellingham's at Real Madrid, Thomas Tuchel's letting him know that you have to work for your place. So for me, I think that's good management, and it should be form and fitness, definitely, not PR and anything else. Right, let's move on. So there is enough negativity and pressure in professional sport that you don't need to seek it out. Yeah, and and again, I agree. Again, I think this links back to going on social media and seeking out validation and criticism. Again, that's one that stood out to me because I just don't understand as a professional footballer why you think you could get away with, well, not get away, but why you think going on social media you're going to get all positive comments. It's not like that. As I said, we've got a hater on there right now called Kevin, Kevin McGee, and he criticizes me all the time, but Kevin still shows up, which is commendable for him, So as I said, man, it's one of them things where you're gonna get people that like you, people that dislike you, and it is what it is, man. So I don't really understand that, man. Why you should go and seek out validation and criticism? It's madness. It's absolute madness. It's madness, as I said, but it's part of life, guys. It's part of life being criticized because whether people like it or not, people have a difference of opinion, and some people just don't like the opinion. Even though if you do bring facts to them and you speak truthfully, some people just won't accept it. So it is what it is, man. And as I said, I think as a professional footballer that Jude Bellingham is in, I think it is crazy that he's actually come on to an interview to say that he is seeking out validation. I mean, why do you need validation, really, if you know you're good? I'll be honest with you, yeah. On my channel, I know what I talk about. I know how I come across. Might not be to everyone's liking, but I know what I say is my true opinion, and I don't need validation from anyone because I know what I'm talking about. Again, you people that are here today, you're still here because you either appreciate what I'm saying, or in Kevin's case, he just might be a hater and just wants to see my face. Who knows? You know what I mean? I don't know what Kevin's on, but he still shows up even though he criticizes each and every time. So as I said, I'm someone that doesn't need validation because I know myself, and it's about being confident in yourself and confident in your opinion, and that's what matters. So just going back to Jude Bellingham, as I said, he's in a privileged position. He should be someone that be thinking, look, I'm in a position where he should be thinking to himself, yeah, that, look, I'm in a position where many people want to be. I'm going to get criticism. I am. And it's one of them things where it's one of them things where I just don't get it, man. I don't get it. But some footballers, man, they're a bit different these days. You know what I mean? They are different. I think if he's scared of if he's worried about criticism from people, I mean, it was a lot worse, as I said, 10, 15 years ago. So it just shows you, man, that football's just gone soft, man. It's definitely gone soft, and you should expect criticism, definitely. Definitely expect criticism, But guys, let me know what you think. Let me know if you think Jude Bellingham, if it's a massive PR stunt on his case. Because as I said, the fact that he's not in the England squad and this has come out, I think it's very, very well planned, in my opinion. And yeah, I just think it's been orchestrated in that sense, because I guarantee you this, yeah, if he was in that England squad, would this interview have come out? I don't believe it would have. Jazz says, I can't lie, if it's not the World Cup or Euros, I ain't even watched international football for roughly 5 years. Find it so boring. Teams set up to not lose rather than win, if that makes sense. Now, big up, Jazz, man. Listen, I make you right, man. I think when it comes to watching England, I'm not interested in watching England against Moldova, Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, Andorra. Iceland, all these countries. You know, no disrespect. I'm not interested in that because with the amount of players England have to choose from and the amount of players that play in the top leagues around Europe, I ain't got time to watch England play them teams because they should be battering them teams. I mean, look at Austria. Austria beat San Marino 10-0 the other day. You know, these are the kind of teams that England plays. So I ain't really got time to watch them play them teams. I only want to watch England play against the top nations because, as I said, you know, when they play the top nations, this is when they get tested. And this is where we can see what these England players are really on. So, yeah, that's what I would say, man. But I hear your pain, man, because international football's boring unless the top nations are playing. I mean, if you look at the Champions League format right now, the reason why the Champions League format is good is because you're getting a lot of the best teams playing each other early. You know, you look at PSG Barca the other day, even though that game was a lot of players that were starters weren't playing. You know, at least you're getting two of the favourites playing each other early. You know, and again, this is what I can't stand about international football. You know, all this playing the San Marinos, these part-time footballers and that is pointless. You know, England should be battering them. And a lot of the time, they don't really batter them, let's be honest. So, yeah, I hear your pain, man. Let's see. So Taylor says, Ian Wright spoke on how worried he was when he saw what was said in the papers about his Arsenal move. The gone soft notion is lazy, in my opinion. Now, football has gone soft, Taylor. I'm not sure how old you are, Taylor, but football has gone soft. Definitely it's gone soft. It's not lazy, it's definitely gone soft. The fact that social media is about now, yeah, these things are more prevalent, you know, but you think of the amount of criticism that players used to get. Look at what David Beckham got. If anyone's from that era, look at what David Beckham got when he got sent off against Argentina. You know, you didn't see Bellingham coming. You didn't see Beckham going on interviews crying and making noise about criticism, etc. Because social media wasn't prevalent back then. So football has gone soft, man, definitely. And as I said, I've watched so much football to know that when we're seeing players now that are in these privileged positions, again, I don't condone, you know, racial abuse, criticism to players' families. They're just fans that, as I said, have other agendas, and it says a lot about them. But when I'm seeing players come on TV and saying they're seeking validation and criticism, you know, maybe have a stronger mind. Maybe have a, you know, more something about you to not go on social media and seek them things out, because I just don't get that, man. Because you're gonna get criticized regardless. You know, it is what it is. uh, Guys, come on, smash them likes up. 20 likes so far. There's 25 of you in there. Let's smash them likes up, guys. Big up yourselves. Society has gone soft, man. Not just football. 100%. I definitely agree with that. Yeah, not just football, society. I agree. I agree. I agree. You know, yeah, we're in a period in the world now, man, where sometimes you got to watch what you say, etc., and all this other stuff. Yeah, it's definitely gone soft, man. But as I said, man, I'm someone that I truly believe what I'm saying, and as I said, maybe the way I say it, people might not like it, but I'll be honest with you, I ain't gonna change. I'm gonna say what I've got to say when I want to say it, and that is just how it is, you know. And as I said, man, there's certain things that I don't agree with, not just in football but in life. But I just think this thing that I see with Bellingham yesterday, I found it funny because, again, do I believe he's going through mental struggles? Maybe. But when I'm seeing the Macho one, I was saying this about Bellingham from when he first come on the scene, not even at Birmingham, but when he got the move to Dortmund and then he started making a name for himself at Dortmund. But it's the Real Madrid one. You can clearly see at Real Madrid, he's believing in his hype because he's at one of the biggest clubs in the world, and he is he's trying to he's trying to for me, it's almost like he's trying to fit in. He's trying to be this macho guy, trying to fit in with Vinicius Junior, Mbappe, and trying to show the fans that he's that guy. But he never will be that guy because, as I said, his ability doesn't match the PR. And let's face it, he's someone that should never be at Real Madrid in the first place, if we're being honest. When I've seen players at Real Madrid, and these guys weren't really starters to the level of what Bellingham is at the moment, yeah? When I've seen players like Guti, if anyone remembers Guti at Real Madrid, yeah, Guti was a top player. Guti was never considered, yeah, as one of the best players in the world. But he was a top player. And that's because the level was so high. Guti, Julio Baptista at Real Madrid. You think of, obviously, Raul, Fernando Morientes. I'm not even talking about R9 and Zidane and Figo, Beckham, Makaleli, because them players are obvious. But players like Guti is a prime example, yeah? People will probably tell you that Bellingham's better than Guti. But why would they tell you that? If anyone's from the era of when Guti played for Real Madrid, you will know what I'm talking about. You will know what I'm talking about. So, what a player he was, man. And he wasn't regarded as one of the best players. But look at that. He was a top player, man. Top player, man. Here we go. You guys are not ready for this Arsenal team. Yeah, all right. All right. I mean, listen. We will definitely be here for the tears, man. When Arsenal fail again, we will definitely be here. So, as I said, man, this is what fans do. Unfortunately, Waka, where was you when Arsenal got beat by Liverpool? Where was you? I mean, you come back now, obviously, because Arsenal are top. But where was you when they got beat by Liverpool? This is what I mean. Kevin McAllister, Yeah, listen. Home Alone, man. He probably is Home Alone, Waka. He probably is Home Alone at the moment, man. That's why he's just typing away like mad. Gav texts me all the time for my opinion. There you have it, guys. I'm texting Kevin, man. Kevin's the guy. Kevin's the guy, man. Yeah, listen, Guti was a top player. Big up to Red Zone. Guti was a top player, man. And as I said, people will tell you that Bellingham's probably better than Guti. But what's that based off? Recency bias? PR? Because it's not based off football ability. I'll tell you that for free. It's not off that. The chat's killing me. So there's more chance for an Israeli to be Palestinian president than Arsenal winning the league. Yeah, listen, yeah, listen, I can't disagree with that, Eddie, man. I can't disagree with that. Yeah, Guti was levels, man. Left-footed, man. Left-footed, number 10, central midfielder. Top player, man. Telling you, top player. And again, he wasn't considered, yeah, by many people to be a top player. And it shows you how much football's dropped because you've got someone like Jude Bellingham, who as a footballer is nowhere near Guti, and he's starting at Real Madrid. I remember I got a friend, yeah, that tried to tell me, and he told me with a straight face, yeah. He had the cheek to tell me that that Jude Bellingham has the potential to be better than Zidane, and then tried to make it even worse by saying that Jude Bellingham's taking his number 5. I mean, tell me someone is not that don't know football, that doesn't know football. He had the cheek to tell me that Jude Bellingham's taken Zidane's number 5, and he's got the potential to be better than him. You know, people like that should be sectioned, man. Not talk about football again, because when I heard that, yeah, that's when me and him stopped talking, man. To be honest, because I can't have people tell me that, man. Gav, same energy in May, please. Lumi, listen, don't worry about that, because you know, we will definitely be here for the tears. I'm telling you, because when Arsenal don't win that league title or the Champions League, I want you guys to come on here and say sorry. Yeah, and again, if Arsenal win a title, which they're not going to, I'll be the first one to say, do you know what? I'm not going to argue with you guys again. You guys were right. But when Arsenal don't win nothing, come onto my channel and say sorry. Yeah, you've heard it here first. Because I'm telling you this now, it's all well and good when you guys are top, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're going to win the league, you know, you're the best team. Declan Rice is the next coming of Sergio Busquets, you know. William Saliba is going to be better than Marcel Desailly, you know. Gyökeres is going to be like Haaland, you know. Saka's the best winger in the world. Martin Odegaard's the best number 10 they've ever seen, you know. Better than Zidane, better than Ronaldinho, Totti, Del Piero. You know, it's all good when all these things are coming out. You know, I was hearing Lewis Skelly's the best left back in the league. When these things are coming out, yeah, we are gonna be here. Because I'm telling you this now, we will be here to console each and every one of you Arsenal fans, and make sure you guys turn up as well when Arsenal do not win. Because I don't want you guys only coming on when Arsenal are doing well, because that's fake. Yeah, so let's make sure you guys do come on when the going gets tough. That means you, Wacker, as well. Yeah, listen, Kevin is entertaining. Delusional, but he's entertaining. I do agree, man. Like, as I said, if any of you guys have seen my short from yesterday, you know, are haters your biggest fans? Well, Kevin's answered that, because Kevin couldn't wait to message me yesterday. You know, so yeah, Kevin's one of them, man. But Kevin knows where the truth is. That's why he keeps showing up, because as much as he doesn't want to admit it, he knows this is the channel that talks the truth, man. And again, it's with you people as well. So big up yourselves. Yeah, listen, I didn't think you guys would beat West Ham, but I thought it'd be a draw. But from what I heard, man, it was a bit of a poor game. So right, guys, we're gonna wrap up in about 5 minutes. So make sure you guys get your questions in, and make sure you guys put your comments in as well. Again, I'm not reading through everyone's comments, so I'm only gonna go through the ones that stand out. So big up yourselves. Guys, as well, from next month, we're gonna do a live call-in. We're gonna try and do a live call-in show. So that's gonna be a members only, for the members only section. So we're gonna do a live call-in. So anyone that wants to come and have their say, yeah, we're gonna do a live call-in. We're gonna take this on now. So so yeah. And again, I'm starting my boxing, guys. I got my fight coming up in December, 6th of December. And my training starts next week, next Wednesday. So there will definitely be some content coming your way. Again, that's only going to be for the members only section. So So yeah, as I said, man, there's some good things coming up, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting back in the ring. Um, yeah, man, it's good. As I said, focus, fitness, and health, man. And as I said, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So there'll be some content coming through, 100%. What do you think of the potential Man United takeover talk? I'll be honest, yeah, and I've said this already. I'm tired of this now, this Man United and takeover talk. I was tired of it when there was talk about Saudis coming in, and then Ineos took ownership, part ownership of the club. That's when I was like, you know what, I'm not bothered now. The only thing that I can comment on and make my and do and say my opinions is the playing squad and what I'm seeing from the manager. So anything about the takeover and that, I'm just not interested, because the very fact that this club had the chance to get rid of Bruno Fernandes at the start of the summer for 90 to 100 million, and somehow he's still here, this is where I don't want to hear no more talk about takeovers and stuff like that. I'm well and truly done with that now. Until if Man United get a takeover, of course that's going to be great news. But do I believe they're going to get taken over? I don't. So I'm just not interested anymore. So yeah, I'm purely here with Man United to talk about the team, how they're getting on in the league, the manager until he's gone. That's it. Takeover talk. Yeah, I'm just done with that, man, for the time being. Come on, Johan Gorkuf. Come on, man. Johan Gorkuf was meant to be the next Zidane, they were saying. Didn't live up to the hype, though. Yeah, Kevin's on the call in. Yeah, listen, Kevin, man. Listen, it'll be good, man, to it'll be good to see what you got to say, man. And this time we'll have your face on screen as well. So yeah, we'll have your face on screen. So there'll be no hiding, Kevin. You can hide now, but there'll be no hiding, man, when your face comes onto the screen, and we can hold you accountable for your comments. You sound British. I am British. What are you talking about? You sound British. That's because I am British. I am a booty warrior. My God. Yeah, all right. When I'm seeing Kevin saying he's too pretty for the screen and then puts baby at the end, it's time to wrap up, guys. But guys, big up yourselves for coming on each and every time. As I said, much appreciated you guys coming on, interacting. Again, make sure you guys smash the like button on the way out, and make sure you sub to the channel and show support, guys. Obviously, some good content out there. So, guys, check out the content and check out the playlist, guys. On the playlist, there's a new playlist that I've put up there. So it's called GavGoesIn's Greatest Plays, I think it's called. Yeah, Gav goes in's greatest plays. So again, there's some footage of me playing five-a-side, just a couple of goals that I've scored on there. So yeah, make sure you guys give that a check. So as I say, it's a new playlist that I put up recently, and it will be continue to be added to as well. So yeah, give that a check. And as I said, yeah, much appreciated you guys coming on. And guys, when you smash that like button, it helps the channel to grow, to be seen by more people. And so yeah, if you haven't smashed that like button, make sure you do. And again, make sure you share the channel as well. Share it to your other platforms you go on. Share it to big up to Nick Metcalf for subbing. Big up yourself, Nick. Opinion on Jeremy Clarkson, absolute dickhead. There we go. But yeah, no, big up to Nick for subbing. And as I said, make sure you check out all my other content. Some good content on there. As I said, they're all in playlists. So if there's anything you want to check, some of them are actually on in chapters as well. So yeah, if you want to check that out. And guys, as I said, you know, I've got some content in the members only section already. There's some posts on there, some good posts on there that you guys will probably be a bit surprised. Yeah, but it's only for the members only section. So again, make sure you guys get your members badges, and so you can view that out. And again, I've got my boxing coming up, 6th of December. Training's coming up next week, so there will be some footage again for members only. So yeah, there's some things for you guys to be interested about, be excited about on my end. So yeah, just make sure you guys stay tuned. And today's what, Saturday? Tomorrow, guys, I'm not sure if I'm live tomorrow. I'm not sure yet. Again, if anything breaks, then I'll have to rethink that one. But I'm not sure if I'm live tomorrow yet. But Monday, obviously live with Jonas. Might be trying to get another guest on as well with Jonas. So we'll see. So yeah, with Jonas, that's usually at 6 o'clock. Might be slightly earlier. So I'm not sure yet. But as I said, keep an eye on that. You're going to watch me get snuffed, yeah? Well, let's just say I'm 2-0, man. So there's no one getting snuffed there, man. You know, maybe if you want to get the gloves on and I'll snuff you out. How about that? Yeah? But no, listen. Listen, hard training. You know, it's going to be good. So we'll see what happens. But as I said, guys, big up yourselves each and every time. And as I said, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you sub to the channel. And yeah, I'll catch you guys. I'll catch you guys probably Monday. Take it easy.